Hello students, it's Mrs. Moon here, and today I have a quick tutorial for you about finding perimeter. So, Mrs. Thompson said that for 8th grade, the NTI assignment today is from IXL, and which lesson is it? It is lesson T1, and it is about perimeter. So let's review. What is perimeter? Well, in this particular lesson, with the perimeter, we're being asked to find the sum of the lengths of the sides of a polygon. So perimeter is just finding the distance around an object. So we're looking specifically at different polygons in today's lesson. So let's talk about the different polygons that we may see. We may see a rhombus or a square, and something to note about a rhombus or a square is that all four sides are the same length. So they only have to give us one length, and then we can multiply by 4 to get the perimeter of the entire figure. So if the one length given to us was 3 times 4, or 3 plus 3, 4 times, is 12. So the perimeter here would be 12 units. All right, if we're dealing with a parallelogram or a rectangle, which is a special parallelogram, then we have to know the lengths of two sides, because we know that with a parallelogram or rectangle, if this length here is 6 units, then the length directly across will also be 6 units. So 6 and 6 adds to be 12. And if this length is 12, then this one down here has to be 12 because they are congruent. So 12 and 12 is 24. 24 plus 12 gives us a total perimeter here of 36 units. And you're also going to see some triangles and trapezoids. Now, we kind of need a little bit more information with triangles or trapezoids because the side lengths could all be different. However, oftentimes you will see triangles that are isosceles and trapezoids that are isosceles, which means two of the side lengths are the same. Usually we note that by either they're labeled as the same or maybe they're a variable like x and x. So if it's the same variable, we know that they're the same length. So we're going to look at some examples of each of these. And I'm really just going to talk you through some of the things that I thought were harder in the lesson. So let's look at this first example I've pulled out. We've got a parallelogram, and we are told that this side length is 15 centimeters, and we're supposed to find the other side length of t centimeters. So we're given the information that the perimeter of the entire figure is 58 centimeters. So this time, you're told the perimeter and one side. You have to find the other side. So what I did here is I first said, well, I know if this side is 15 centimeters, this other side is congruent to it. So 15 and 15 add to be 30. Then I said, okay, these two add to be 30. Let's subtract that from the entire perimeter. So 58 minus 30 leaves 28 more centimeters. Well, those 28 centimeters have to be divided between these two remaining sides. So we divide 28 by 2, and we get 14. So that means this length here, t, is 14 centimeters. Okay, so it took 3 operations to get the answer here. Add the 2, subtract from the total, and divide that difference by 2. All right, let's take a look at a trapezoid. This particular trapezoid is isosceles. It's isosceles, I know, because these two sides are labeled with the same variable, x. So that means they're the same length. So if I'm supposed to find the length of x, and I'm given these two side lengths, and I'm given that the perimeter is 107.5 millimeters. What I did first is I added the two side lengths, which are bases, that were given. So 17.2 added to 31.9 gave me 49.1, I think. Try to look at this backward. Okay. Then, after I found out the sum of these two, I subtracted that sum from the total perimeter. So 107.5 minus 49.1 gave me 58.4 millimeters remaining. Third, if there's 58.4 millimeters remaining and I have two sides that are congruent, I have to divide 58.4 by 2. So I did long division here. You can use a calculator to divide if you prefer, but I got 29.2 for that division for the quotient. So that means the length of one side is 29.2 millimeters. Okay, I have two more examples here for you. Okay, so third, let's take a look at this square. Here they gave me a square, but they didn't give me any numbers on the square. They just said that the side length is y. Well, since it's a square, all four sides are the same length. But they did tell me the perimeter, or the sum of all four sides is 12 yards. Since the sum of all four sides is 12, I could divide the perimeter by 4 and find that the length of one side would be 3 yards. So the square is really a pretty easy example, but sometimes it's confusing when you look at the picture and there's not a number on that. So don't let that trip you up. All right, the last example, I'm going to have to draw a picture. Okay, so the last example, a parallelogram has a perimeter of 32.6 inches. Two of the sides are each 2.5 inches long. What is the length of the other two sides? So when you see a problem that's all in words, you're going to see this when you get close to that challenge zone at the end of the IXL lesson. Just draw a picture of what it's describing. So let me do that here to demonstrate. Okay, the first part said a parallelogram has a perimeter of 32.6 inches. So P is 32.6 inches. So I'm starting by just making notes of the information that was given. Second, it says two of the sides are each 2.5 inches long. And again, it said it was a parallelogram. So I'm going to sketch the parallelogram, and I'm going to label two of those sides being 2.5 inches. Okay, so 2.5 inches long. What is the length of the other two sides? So the length that we're looking for is this one, the length of those other two sides. So how's this going to work, guys? Well, I know that two sides, 2.5 and 2.5, have to add up to equal 5. Okay, so that's 5 inches. So I've got 32.6 inches total perimeter, and I need to subtract from that 5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to do that subtraction now. 6 minus 0 is 6. 32 minus 5, let's think. What is 32 minus 5? 27? So I've got 27.6 inches. So that's how much is left to be divided between these two sides. So since those two sides are congruent, we're going to divide 27.6 by 2. So I'm just going to do long division here. 27.6, can you see this? Divided by 2. So 2 divides into 2 one time, and then we multiply. 1 times 2 is 2. Subtract. We get 0. Then we're going to bring down our 7. 2 divides into 7 3 times. Multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. Subtract. Leaves 1. Bring down our 6 and bring up our decimal. 2 divides into 16. I know, I'm running out of room here. 2 divides into 16 8 times. 8 times 2 is 16. There's no remainder. So I get, when I divide by 2, 13.8. What does that mean? That means the other two sides' lengths are 13.8 inches. So 13, having trouble with my marker here. 13.8 inches are the lengths of these two sides that are labeled X. So I hope that this short tutorial helps you to remember what you already know about perimeter and can help you through some of the harder problems on IXL with perimeter. So good luck, and I hope everyone's doing well. See you later.